Hey everybody, Dr. Shook here. Hope you're doing well today. What I wanted to do was just let everyone know that in about an hour and a half, around 7 p.m. Eastern, what I'm going to do is a live stream into the Understanding Your Thyroid Test group for the people that have purchased the 9 Thyroid Test guidebook, because I'm going to go over, when you get that guidebook, you also get access to something called the Ultimate Weight Loss Calculator. And basically it's a formula that I use to help people determine what they need to be consuming to help them either gain weight or maintain weight or lose weight. And I'm going to go over that because I've had some questions, even though there's a video that goes along with it. And there's also an included, basically it's an Excel spreadsheet that I've already have put together. You just put in your numbers and it calculates everything for you. But I'm going to walk through it because I did have some questions, and that's something I'm going to do a little bit later. But I just want to hop on here and say, hey to everyone, I hope y'all are all doing well. If you haven't seen some of the recent live streams, we've gotten some good feedback, and there've been a lot of questions. The one video that I think we've gotten the most feedback and that I think you need to watch if you haven't seen it is the video where I discuss a huge mistake that you can make when you're getting your blood drawn for thyroid lab testing. If you have not seen that video, it's in the Greater Hickory Thyroid Support Group. It's on YouTube. It's also on our Facebook page, the Office of Dr. Brad Shook. Go there and just watch that video because that's so important. There's just so many people you got to understand, and you need a good baseline to understand, what you're trying to do and what's actually happening with your thyroid. That is such an important place to start because it's so easy to do things that will disturb your thyroid hormone levels before you actually get your blood drawn, the day of the test. And so you need to do some things very specifically, and I do go over those in that test. Hi, I'm doing very well. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Philip. Hey, Misty. Hope you are all doing well. I'm just getting ready to head home, but I thought I would share this with everyone because I wanted to do a live stream a little bit later and specifically go over that information in the group. But if you guys have questions, just let me know, and I'll try to answer them later. But just post them. You can post them here. But definitely the thyroid test, the guidebook on understanding your thyroid test will help you to understand some of the things that you need to consider doing so that you get the most accurate results. But that video, the live stream that I did on a huge mistake that you can make when getting your blood drawn for thyroid labs is really important. I would start there. And then another video that we had some really good feedback on was the video on the connection between the thyroid and thyroid hypothyroidism and polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS. That's another video that's, if you just scroll down, if you go to the Greater Hickory Thyroid Support Group or the Office of Dr. Brad Shook or YouTube, you can find it on there. And those are great places to start, and because that's a huge problem for a lot of women, PCOS, and the thyroid plays a significant role. But probably the most important video is really trying to understand how to properly get your blood drawn so you don't mess up your blood work. Just there's so many things that you can do that will create some problems. Hey, Anna. Thank you. I'm glad that you found that helpful. But that's a really good video. And there's a ton of other stuff. Like the other day, I posted a video when we were talking about potential connections between the thyroid or hypothyroidism and development of cancer. And there's some really good information. The thyroid's tied to everything because it sets the metabolic rate for every single cell throughout the body. So if your thyroid physiology is not optimal, you can have dysfunction a number of different ways. And there's a lot of research that is making it more evident and clear what's actually happening and what are some of the consequences of hypothyroidism. As I was doing some research and looking for some more evidence on the connection between hypothyroidism or poor thyroid physiological function and cancer, I found a ton of other great research papers that I want to talk about. I think I've got them bookmarked somewhere. But my personal experience with psoriasis and developing psoriasis, which is autoimmune, I found a paper on actually the connection between psoriasis and Hashimoto's. There's a lot of good papers. So there's a lot of interesting research that's been done and that's ongoing. But I hope that those videos and everything is helpful. If you guys do have questions, though, you can post them here, but also go and look at those other videos. Those videos are really, really helpful. If you haven't seen them yet, they'll really help you, give you some useful information to give you better direction and help you to be a better advocate for yourself. So if you have any questions or you need anything, just definitely let me know. I'm going to run right now. I got to get home and eat dinner, hang out with my family, and then 7-ish, I'm going to do the video into the understanding your thyroid test group. If I'm going to go over that weight loss calculator, it's basically how to determine the not necessarily just the amount of calories, but really looking at how much protein you need per day, how much fat, and then how many carbohydrates, and how to adjust that depending on your goals. And it's really important to understand how you start. How do you establish what you begin with, like your beginning calories and amount of protein and amount of fat and amount of carbohydrates. That's really important. I think that a lot of people are yo-yo dieting. A lot of people are just following these fad diets. They're doing ketogenic diets. They're following and doing like fasting, and they don't really have a long-term strategy. Like all these things are short-term. Like you've got to figure out how to live day to day, and like what is your long-term goal? Like are you going to be able to maintain like what you're trying to accomplish? Like you're trying to lose weight. Are you going to be on a ketogenic diet forever? I mean, is that your goal? I don't think that's a good idea. I'm not saying ketogenic diets are bad, but I don't think that's a good idea. And then there's different, there's like, what are your objectives? Like, what would you really like to accomplish? Because if you're interested at all in like any type of performance, I think you have to consider carbohydrate intake. If you have low carbs or no carbs, that really, I've seen that disrupt a lot of women's cycles. If you are on a significantly low calorie diet, that can disrupt T3 production. I mean, I think that these are useful tools, but they're not being used in a way that accounts for the necessity of variation in your diet. Like if you will plan variation into your diet, and you will accept the fact that your diet's going to change, and if you can contemplate the idea that I'll share with you, and accept the fact that your diet needs to change, which it does. It needs to vary. It doesn't need to be the same thing all the time. Then you can use that to your advantage, and you can make sense of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and you don't just do the same thing forever, which is boring, not sustainable, and not practical. And that's what I think a lot of these dietary programs and things that people are teaching are doing. They're not sustainable. Like you've got to understand how to just get healthy and what is a healthy, normal diet. And then once you start to be able to put together the connections between how much food you need to be eating and what's right for you, and you can start seeing that and understanding like how many calories is in a certain amount of protein or meat or vegetables or some kind of carbohydrate source that you're consuming, and you can see and visually understand like, okay, this is 40 carbs and it's 160 calories. That's important to understand. You can start making these you can start thinking strategically about your food, like without consciously tracking it and doing everything else. But you've got to start somewhere. And so many people are just yo-yoing their diets. They don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. All they know is most people are trying to lose weight, and so they do the next fad. And that's a mistake. It's a mistake. It's not sustainable. So anyway, I want to share that with you. I'm going to be going over that more in the group, but it's important to comprehend and understand that a lot of these diets and strategies, they have to be considered as part of your long-term strategy. I mean, you've got to understand how to incorporate these things into a lifestyle, and it has to be enjoyable, and it has to be something that's maintainable. And that and I think that's a big problem. I'm going to answer this one question, and then I'm going to go. Tracy says, hey, do you recommend probiotics for those with Hashimoto's? Not typically. Actually, I don't typically recommend probiotics unless we have a very specific reason for taking them. I think that what I really try to do with people that have Hashimoto's or any problem is figure out why they're having the symptoms that they're having. Like, what is actually happening biochemically, and like, so can we quantitatively assess like what's actually happening to you, and then we try to match like your symptoms and see if that makes sense, and then we can put together a strategy very specifically around what's going on. I've seen a lot of people that are taking and using a lot of supplements that are really not helping them. They're just spending a lot of money on things that are, it's this guessing, this big, they're just guessing, and they're losing a lot of time they can never get back, and spending a lot of money on things that they don't really need. Because I can't tell you how many times I've seen people that have a thyroid problem, and when I start working with them, we realize really quickly that it's not because of their thyroid hormone levels at all. They have symptoms, and they're experiencing the problems they're having typically because of an autoimmune process or an inflammatory process, and blood sugar fluctuations, and then there's other mineral and vitamin issues that are at play that's affecting their physiology too, and then lifestyle factors that are ending up creating a lot of problems with their hormonal physiology. So if you can just look at the whole person and you can put together a specific approach to them, that's how you get the most success. And so I don't usually recommend probiotics. I'll only use probiotics if if we've gone through some sort of antimicrobial, antifungal, antiparasitic protocol that's going to disrupt the GI tract microbiome, that environment in the gut. And even then, I'm really trying to inoculate the gut with good bacteria from fermented foods and from foods that are going to feed the bacteria that are already there. Because I think the more and more we learn, the more that we realize that it's really more about not doing more than we have to do. Really, the more things that we go in and we do to change our physiology, the greater the chance we have to mess it up. Because anyone that, you could just look at medicine as a whole and realize that, we're not doing exactly what the body needs. If we were, there would be no side effects, right? So it's really interesting. It's really interesting when you start looking at it. I think trying to let the body do what it needs to do, get out of its way as much as possible. And sometimes that's something that we're just working to understand exactly how to do that. But I think that's a really important point. Tracy, you're welcome. Hey, Pam. Well, guys, listen, I'm going to jump off here. I got to go, but I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.